Okay, so as in the last video we have discussed about the defects of the Rutherford atomic model. In today's video we are going to discuss about the atomic model of Niels Bohr, right? So Niels Bohr proposed his atomic model in 1913, which means he proposed his atomic model in the 20th century, right? So let's go with that. What did he tell about the atom in his atomic model theory, right? Basically he designed this entire atomic model to just clarify the defects of the Rutherford atomic model, as Rutherford was failed to describe the stability of an atom. So means he has designed this entire structure to tell the people about the stability of an atom, that in the actual atom is stable, right? Secondly, he has discussed about the atomic spectrum as well, as Rutherford was failed to explain that, right? So he has just designed this entire model to tell the people about the stability of an atom. Secondly, the atomic spectrum of hydrogen, right? So he what did he say, or what was his first postulate? The first postulate of his theory was that an atom has a center called nucleus, and nucleus discovery, the Nobel Prize for the nucleus discovery was already given to the Rutherford. So this point he just took or adopted from the theory of Rutherford atomic model, right? So his first postulate was, wait, let me highlight this too. An atom has a center called nucleus, right? And what did Rutherford said? Rutherford said the positive charge resides in a very small space, and that small space he called as nucleus, right? And he said an atom has a center called nucleus, which means he just adopted this point from the theory of Rutherford atomic model, right? The second point of his theory was, wait, let me write here one. The second point of his theory, electrons revolve in fixed, he just used this term fixed, right? Fixed circular orbits. Now this is most important point, with fixed energy and fixed velocity, right? What did Rutherford said about this? Rutherford just said that electron revolve around the nucleus. He didn't say that they revolve in the fixed orbits with the fixed energy and fixed velocity, right? He just said an electron revolves around the nucleus. Means according to the Rutherford, right? For example, this is the positive charge I have, and here I have electron, right? Here I have electron. Now according to the Rutherford atomic theory, Rutherford said that electron revolves around the nucleus. He just said this, electron revolves around the nucleus. He didn't tell where it moves, what is the energy level of it, or does it move in a fixed orbit or with fixed energy or fixed velocity. He just said electron revolves around the nucleus. Means according to the Rutherford, electron can revolve in this, electron can revolve here as well, electron can revolve here as well, and electron can revolve here as well. Since because of that, here it must be repulsive forces, right? If electron is revolving here, if it is moving or revolving here too, then there must be repulsive forces, right? There must be, wait, let me write here, there must be repulsive forces, because we know that negative charges will be not attracting, however they will be repelling, right? There will be repulsive forces instead of attractive forces, right? So according to Rutherford, electron can revolve in any of the shell. According to Rutherford, there would be any of the nuclear radius, right? It can be radius 2, this can be radius 2, and this can be radius 2. However, according to the Niels Bohr says that they only revolve in the fixed circular orbits with fixed energy and fixed velocity, right? In the third point, he has clarified that point really well, his second point of atomic model, right? So let's go with that, the third point of atomic model theory of an atom of Niels Bohr, right? So in the third point, he said that electron revolves only in those circular. Now this is the most important point, the $1,000,000,000 of point which will not gonna understand, so please be all ears, right? So electron revolves only in those circular orbits whose right, whose angular momentum, right? I am going to tell you what is this angular momentum, right? Angular momentum is the integral multiple of h by 2 pi, right? Is the integral multiple of h by 2 pi, means electrons will only gonna revolve in those orbits whose angular momentum is the integral multiple of h by 2 pi, right? Now let me tell you how, right? The third point. Now let me tell you what's the angular momentum, right? What's the angular momentum? For example, this is the electron which is revolving around the positive charge or nucleus, right? Here it is revolving. Now what's the angular momentum? Now it must be moving with velocity, right? Wait, let me change the color. Okay, it must be moving with the velocity. It has mass 2, right? It has mass 2, and here we have the radius, right? So as you can see, it has radius, it must be moving with the velocity, and it has mass as well, right? So the multiplication of these three terms, MVR, which means mass into velocity into radius, is equal to angular momentum. Right? So now how, right? Let me tell you how this is possible. Now see, we know that it is moving with the velocity, it has radius, as well as it has mass, right? And the angular momentum, for suppose this is angular momentum, right? And it is equal to the position vector into momentum, right? Position vector into momentum. Radius same, right? And position vector, it's not position vector, sorry, it's momentum. P represents the momentum. Momentum is equal to the mv, right? It is the product of mass into velocity, so mv, right? Now there is a cross between two vectors, We know that momentum is the vector as well as a position vector is the vector as well. There is a cross between these two vectors, means when we're going to remove this cross, we're going to have sine theta. Wait, let me write this here now. When we will remove cross, right, we will have sine theta, right? When we're gonna remove this cross, we're gonna have sine theta. So let me write this here. What we're gonna get here will be, so we will be getting here our mv. Instead of cross, we're gonna have sine theta. Now instead of theta, we need to put the angle, right? Now see here, what's the angle, right? Here we have 90 degree, here we have 90 degree, right? Here we will have 90 degree as well. So instead of theta, I can easily write there is a 90 degree of angle. So angular momentum is equal to radius mass into velocity sine 90. And we know that sine 90 is equal to, wait, sine 90, let me write that with red. Sine 90 is equal to 1, right? Sine 90 is equal to 1, so is equal to RMV. Instead of sine 90, I'm going to write here 1, and when this whole term will be multiplied with 1, we're gonna get R is equal to RMV, or MVR, RMV. Since they all are multiplied there, we're gonna get the product of it, so it does not matter, right? So what we have gotten, our final formula of this is R is equal to L is equal to MRV. Let me highlight this too. Okay, so now in the third point, as he said, the electrons will going to revolve in only those orbits whose angular momentum. Now we know that angular momentum is equal to what? MVR. Angular momentum is the integral multiple of h by 2 pi. Now we have this h by 2 pi, right? We have this h by 2 pi. Now either the electron will going to revolve in 2h by 2 pi, either this will gonna revolve in 2h by 2 pi. Since we have the integral multiple, we need to take the integral multiple. We need to take integral multiple, right? So here we have an integral multiple, 2h by 2 pi. Either electron will be revolving in that orbit whose angular momentum will be equal to 3h by 2 pi, or 4h by 2 pi, 5h by 2 pi, 6h by 2 pi, 7h by 2 pi, 8h by 2 pi, but it cannot revolve in 3 by 2 h by 2 pi, or 4 by 4 3 by h 2 pi h by 2 pi, right? It cannot revolve in 1.5 h by 2 pi. It cannot revolve in the fractional multiple of h by 2 pi. However, it will only revolve, the electrons will only revolve in those orbits whose angular momentum, means MVR, will be equal to the integral multiple of h by 2 pi, right? In either 2h by 2 pi, or 3h by 2 pi, 4h by 2 pi, 5h by 2 pi, but it must be integral multiple, not fractional multiple, right? In this video, we have just discussed the 3 postulates of Niels-Bohr atomic model. In the next video, we're going to discuss about the 4th, 5th, and then we're going to derive some formulas, right? And then we're going to have our last postulate of the Niels-Bohr atomic model as well.